Welcome to the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast, a racing show for the fans by a fan.
Yeah, I feel that one.
Oh yeah, no cans today, baby. Man, what a weekend! What
Oh
a
yeah.
weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and a lot of travel. Made it home, made it to work. I did not get home before 11:30. I was
Shocker.
so well, after I dropped you off, I looked and it said 11:37, so I just went ahead and stopped because I was like, wasn't gonna beat it. But I made it right around 12, something like that. Went to work at I think I left about 5:30. No, I left about 5. I was there about 5:30 and then left at 1:30. Not a bad day, really.
No.
Now we're good to go. Went and picked the kid up. He was like, "Oh my God, Daddy! Daddy!" I was like, "Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right." But yeah, I don't know. It was a pretty boring weekend. Not much to talk about on the show. I guess
Oh
put
yeah.
it away.
Yeah.
Just kidding. How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
Oh yeah. It was a good one down there at the racetrack.
I forget we're on a podcast. I have to actually ask you what you did.
Yep.
We both went to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. For those of you that don't know, drove down there Friday night, stayed, hung out with the boys, and then went over Saturday and grilled a little bit, walked around a little bit, and watched a lot of laps on the old
Oh yeah.
Atlanta Super Speedway. Are we going to call it Super Speedway, maybe?
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
so. I think it's still called the Motor Speedway, so I
Let's
don't know
call
what
it
we
the
can call it.
Atlanta Intermediate Super Speedway.
There
The
you go.
mini
That's a
Super
good one.
Speedway. Honestly, we could just call it the best Super Speedway because Daytona sucks after watching that, and so is Talladega. Sorry, it's a hot take, but I was impressed, man. I really was. What about? I mean, overall, I'd give it like a for the whole weekend. The weather the weather was a little chilly, so yeah, you add that in there. I say overall for the weekend, I give it like an 8.5. What about you?
Well, I'd probably give it about a 7. The
Oh,
Cup race itself, I'd probably give it a 9.5. But the truck race and the Xfinity race were a little lackluster for me.
I mean,
More so on the trucks,
you're
for
pretty
sure.
well. No, you're pretty well right on there. I mean, you know, I guess like overall, before we get into all the details and stuff, like we're sitting there on Saturday and like we're watching the truck race. Obviously, there's a doubleheader for those of you that don't know, and trucks are up first, and it's like you watch the race, and it's like, man, where the truck drivers go that wreck all the
Yeah.
time? Like, where are they
Yeah.
all at? Jeez. I do have a solution for this, by the way, but and I was like, well, and they just kind of rode around, raced like the last 5 laps, and didn't really wreck that much, and most of them finished, and it worked out pretty good. Kyle Busch smoked them, but I figured out what the problem was earlier today.
What is that?
You know why they don't wreck anymore?
What is it?
Well, you don't want to take a guess? Not even one.
I don't know.
Carson Hocevar don't drive
What?
trucks
Oh,
no more.
yeah, that's a good one. That's true.
Yeah, but we'll get to that here in a little bit, I guess. But yeah, man, I don't know. I overall it was a good time. What was your favorite thing in the fan zone?
Oh man, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I feel like we gotta mention the sea lions that they had there. I mean,
Yeah,
what the hell? It's a
yeah,
racetrack. Why do we need sea lions? You know?
yeah. So I'll start my fan zone review. Like, I've been going to races for a good amount of time at this point, and like the fan zones were great. And then post COVID, man, they have been absolute like kind of downhill. They used to have the Monster thing used to come out there when Monster was sponsored all the time. Shout out to my new banner back here. But they used to come out there and do like the dirt bike jumps and, have the Monster Girls out there and then would have like guys doing burnouts on motorcycles, do the thing in the cage, BMX tricks, all that crap. And like they just haven't had any of that stuff. And like I remember, the one time we went to Talladega, it was like just the Geico spot. And I was like, what happened to NASCAR? We're about to go away and die. But dude, I
Yeah,
thought Atlanta's fan zone was probably the
it's
best
pretty
I've seen
decent.
in a while.
Yeah.
Bristol was good last fall too for the night race, but I mean, I felt like the Atlanta was pretty solid. It took more than 10 minutes to walk through everything from the old cars to the new cars to free nicotine pouches. to, like you said, sea lions. I remember we were walking through there, and I turned the corner, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" I see like a sea lion sticking out. So like, I didn't really read online, but I saw an X where somebody had mentioned something about sea lions, and I swear to God, I thought it was a joke. Like, I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah,
And
and there is sure enough there,
then we get down there, and there's like literally a sea lion's like in a pool, bobbing his head up,
popping its
like,
little head out.
"Whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop." And I was like, "Oh damn, there's actually sea lions here." So, um, tried to get old Dan Dan to kiss one, but he wasn't interested.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. But I'm trying to think what my favorite thing was in this fan zone. Um, I thought I had something I really liked, and I just can't.
I
Oh,
will
they
say,
had
I
so.
will say that Ford car Raptor thing that they had from the Dakar Rally, that
Oh,
was pretty badass.
yeah. Did you ever figure out was it Dakar they raced that in? I
Yeah.
guess. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was like a little Raptor, like shorter wheelbase, wide stance, just
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah.
bad mug, right? Like that thing looked like it could
It'd
absolutely
go
haul ass.
anywhere for
Yeah, that was
sure.
pretty cool. I like that. I like the old cars they had over there. Throwback to all the NASCAR years and eras. I like that. Um, Golly, I feel like I really like that Legends hauler they had for
Yeah, that was
merch. I am a little torn on it though because like they had like Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, all that crap. There's even a couple like Bobby Labonte kind of things and some of those guys and Allison, all the names but it's kind of weird because people are actually buying it, and I'm like, I just
yeah.
don't know what that says about your sport when you're selling old
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah. People that
I
don't
mean,
race anymore.
to be fair, I'm up here in Knoxville. They probably can still sell Peyton Manning jerseys around here, right?
Oh,
So, it's not 100% a bad thing, but it is definitely a little bit of a oddity if you ask me. Um, but it's pretty cool. And then, yeah, I mean, I think, golly, I'm just a forgetful son of a gun. Oh well, but we got mashed potatoes. That was
oh yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
you
got
got to hit up
mashed
if you
potatoes.
you got it. I mean, I get those at Bristol too. Those, and you got to get the loaded. If y'all go to the, I think it's Idaho mashed potatoes or
Yeah.
something like that. Be sure you get the loaded mashed potatoes. It's a great snack while you walk around in there. Would recommend that 10 out of 10 for sure as well. Um, but yeah, they had Kenny Wallace down there. I don't think you were down there with me. I think I went back at one point. And they had a little bit of Kenny Wallace talking out there on the stage. That was awesome. So it was definitely a little bit of a throwback to kind of the good old days per se, and I enjoyed it. So didn't buy too much junk. I did pretty good. You got a sweet shirt and a sweet
Oh yeah.
hat. You're wearing the hat now, I see.
Yeah.
Your Larson shirt was pretty hot, and if I'd have seen it before you, I'd have bought it. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I
I
figure
beat you to it.
I still got to figure out exactly what I'm gonna wear for the old Indy 500 Kyle Larson merch. I might have to see if I can hit up old Jacqueline Rumley there on the
Find
old
some
X, or
six
see if we
merch.
still got some old stuff in a closet somewhere. Because if I was them, I'd keep it somewhere because it'll be worth a lot of money at some point in time. It'll be
Yeah.
huge, huge. It'll be terrific. But yeah, I don't know, man. So it worked out good for everybody. Oh, our nephews. I got to the neighborhood last night, and I was like, damn it, I didn't leave their shirts.
It'll be okay.
So
They'll
I
get
was
them
like,
someday.
what a waste. But yeah, so it is what it is. Um, Anywho, other than that, I guess we'll get in the cup race. I think we should go cup first, and then we'll worry about the doubleheader after that. So Sunday morning we got there. It was pretty sunny. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, good crowd. What time we get there? Like 10-ish?
10:30 or something.
Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah,
a little after
somewhere.
10.
Yeah, probably a little after 10. 'Cause we checked out around 10, I guess technically, and like we get there, and there was honestly more people there than I thought there was going to be already at 10 when
Yeah.
we got there. Um, Plenty of room to cook out at Atlanta, boys. You don't got to pay for parking. Just hang out, bring a grill. Apparently, you're allowed to bring charcoal. I thought you weren't allowed to bring charcoal. I don't know. You never know. It just depends who's around if they complain about charcoal or not, I guess. But yeah, man, everybody's out there cooking out, having a good time. There's some kids playing football next to us. Had a good time there, and dude, it just felt like a good old race day. Sun
Oh yeah.
shining. It was a little chilly, but
That wasn't
en-
too bad.
enjoyed that. And then started walking in, and I was like, oh my lord, I hadn't been there to the new configuration. This is your second trip, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and started walking in, and I was like, man, they did a lot of upgrades. Like even the gate areas. I think I mentioned like to me it was I like that they covered it without they did like that almost like log cabin like look or something over that. But that would be really big deal if you go to the summer race,
Yeah.
standing out there, waiting in
Yeah.
line to get in, and it's 110 degrees before the night race. So I thought that was pretty cool, and felt like the stands really, really nice, and the concessions were good too. Like they had some weird stuff. Oh, should I go on my rant about Panera
Uh,
Bread?
you can. You can. Let
Oh,
them know.
listen, people. 2025 might be the end. I saw Panera Bread at the NASCAR race. They had a turkey bacon Bravo. I think it's a Bravo. One of the two.
Something
Anyways,
like that.
they had that. They had soup, which honestly broccoli cheddar soup in the weather we were sitting there.
It
It
might
wouldn't
have
have
been
been too
okay.
bad. They had turkey and cheese sandwiches, ham and cheese sandwiches, and I was like, interesting. It really, I mean, it wasn't that bad on that. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but concession price like $10 for a sandwich or something. It wasn't ridiculous, but yeah, they have Panera Bread at a racetrack, folks. So I don't know what that means. But it was interesting. They
Something
also,
different.
yeah, it was. They had some good stuff. I got those nachos there. Dude, the nachos I got had brisket, chicken, pico, jalapenos, cheese, and like that ranch, spicy
Yeah.
jalapeno ranch, like that same stuff they get you at not Chipotle, Chewy's.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was good. Those are
Those definitely
delicious.
looked real good.
They also had the barbecue sundae, which is my favorite up there from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Um, they did me dirty on the funnel cakes on Saturday because I went down to get a funnel cake and the funnel cake truck was closed.
Yeah.
But yeah, super nice facility. They redid that little bar area down there. I'd walk down there with Marshall. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Mm-mm. I didn't go down that far.
Down there, like they did the Bennett
Yeah.
Transportation truck stop, and there's like a bar on the other end. It was super nice, like kind of like the Chop House. Like you could
Yeah.
like walk out and just get a table and eat and sit there. I don't think you had to have a ticket, so kind of first come first serve. But that was a pretty cool little area. So good job to Atlanta. I hadn't been there in a few years. I mean, we used to go fairly regular. I hadn't been probably. I was trying to think, maybe 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. I don't know, but I wasn't sure if it was when I went with you and Dad or not. But I feel like maybe I've been once since then. But I don't know. But it was great. Walk in, doing driver intros. Anything you wanted to note on the booze, the cheers?
Just your standard, boo Denny Hamlin, boo. It's interesting with Kyle Busch these days. He still gets some boost, but
Yeah.
it's about halved out now. There's about, I'd say, almost an equal amount of boos and woos there.
Yeah, I actually felt like that was the most booze I've seen for Kyle Busch probably in the last few years. I think Atlanta just doesn't like Kyle Busch. I was trying to remember if that's what happened with all that Hornaday stuff with him back in the truck days, but then he won on Saturday, so I think they had a little extra something. They didn't want him to sweep the weekend, but
Yeah,
I feel like the people in Atlanta for some reason don't necessarily like him. But yeah, it's definitely weird how that works. There's some of them guys just absolutely nothing. Like when
yeah,
Cindric came up, it's
yeah,
just like cricket,
yeah,
cricket, cricket, and I was like, well, that's awkward. Because I think Cindric's a decent driver, just like nobody cares.
yeah,
And so that was interesting, but other than that, I didn't have a whole lot in the intros. If we could quit booing Bubba Wallace, good God, man. It's
yeah,
if he wrecks somebody and we boot him, it's fine. But this whole thing over the politics, listen, just quit booing him. Sorry,
yeah.
I know half people watches, but I ain't never watching this show again. I know it went on CNN, said a bunch of crap. Don't worry about it. And we need to quit booing the guy. It's obnoxious. I mean, he's actually been pretty good here lately.
Yeah.
Kinda. I mean, not great, but good enough. His spotter sucks, so that's probably most of why it was terrible. If I had
Yeah,
to
for
guess,
sure.
I heard he likes the Mets, so I hope he had a terrible time in Atlanta. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So we get rolling there in the race, and I was like, we were talking to the dude that was listed that hadn't been before, and I was like, hey, we'll probably like ride the first stage. We'll probably ride the first half, second stage. And I turned in the scanner there, and I'm like, first of all, I couldn't find Chase. It's got
Yeah.
on my nerves. Jason
Yeah, like
Elliott had
3 different channels, didn't
literally
he?
had 3 channels. So did
Yeah.
Larson. I know you
Well,
were
no,
listening to.
Larson, he was just on a different channel. He
Larson had
wasn't on,
3 channels though.
really.
Yes,
I
he
just
was
knew he was on
on.
that
He was
one.
on 00, whatever you were listening to, and car 5. He was on 3 different car
I
numbers.
had him on 86 the whole
Yeah,
race. Didn't make
Chase
any
was on
excuse
like
there.
9, 26, and 18. Like, and it took me forever to find him, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. Anyways, so we get rolling, and dude, I was like, they're gonna ride, and I don't think anybody rode for a single
No.
lap that whole first stage, and I was like, I guess we're not having to pit for fuel, so we're just absolutely letting her eat, see what we got, kind of thing here, and I mean, dude, like they're just every run they got that first stage they took. Nobody really ever lifted. Nobody ran up behind somebody, pushed them. It was like build a run, go, build a run, go, build a run, go again. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
There's no
I
way this is
was,
gonna last, but I mean, I'll take it. First stage, I was like, I was
yeah.
jacked up, like I was
That was the
jumping up and
thing,
down a
man.
little bit.
Like after the truck race, especially yesterday, I figured it was gonna be the same thing. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but that truck race at the beginning, they had what, 6 or 7 Chevys lined up the whole time, and they kind of just stood in a line and
Yeah,
didn't pass. But then they came out in the cup cars and said, "Screw that, we're gonna race."
yeah. I mean, and then like the whole, I don't know how good you could tell because we weren't watching TV and it's kind of hard to keep up with it. Michael McDowell went down 6 laps.
Yeah, it's like
I
every
didn't
caution he got the damn
I
win.
didn't realize he went down 6 laps. Like I knew he was running behind the field, and I did not really know where he came out of. Actually, at one point he's on the track, and I was like, "Where in the hell did he come from?"
Yeah,
Because one thing I did notice, like lap 20, usually like in the past, like those back cars, and I'm just using the numbers because they are who they are, but like 51, 44, those Yaley and
yeah,
Cody Ware, whatever, they usually fall off the back and run a little bit far behind. BJ McLeod in the 78 with not a single sponsor on the car.
yeah,
Um, them guys stayed in the pack, dude. The whole pack, like for the whole 40 laps or something, was up there together. And then finally McDowell comes out there, and I'm like, what happened to him? Because I didn't really see him get sideways or anything. And then later, I learned a thing about, I guess his power steering went out, and they had to fix it. And he went 6 laps down. Tied the record for number of consecutive lucky dogs. 6. Him and
wow,
Jamie McMurray was the other one that did 6 somewhere like Talladega or something. I heard that on the teardown last night on the way home. But
mm,
so that was wild. So he got it done, and then Chase was able to get his 2 back. He was 2
yeah,
down, and
eventually,
he waved one. Thanks to all the idiots in in that third stage, and then
yeah,
he got the lucky dog after that. So it worked out for him. He finally got back in there after getting screwed by the 47, which we'll get to. Um, yeah, I'll try not to rant on that, but we'll get there. So yeah, first stage is pretty good. I was like, okay, surely we're gonna ride. I'm like trying to do the gas math.
yeah.
Uh,
It
well,
was like 60 to 75 they could do
yeah, and they had to go
without
100.
saving or whatever.
So it's like they're coming, and that was when I really started to notice that. Like I was thinking, like, because I didn't think during truck race for me they'd run a green flag stop, obviously, but then like for the cup race, I'm looking back there in turn 3, and I'm like, that commit line is
It's way
so
back
far
there.
away, dude.
Yeah,
Like you don't realize how far away it is until you're sitting there, and it's like they're running, wide open. It takes them 10 seconds to get from there to where they'd be on pit road, really. So I was like, there's no way you can pit under green here,
yeah,
right? Like, I just turned somebody probably.
yeah,
Park on the park on the racetrack. We'll get to that too.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, I don't know. So I was looking at that and I was trying to figure that out, and I was like, oh, surely they got some stretch. I thought we're just gonna ride. We'll probably stretch it and ride and ride, and that's not what happened, is it?
yeah. Not at
No.
all.
And then I think we started the crash fest there in stage 2, if I'm not correct. Um, 43 and 17, was it 17 turned the 43? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he did pretty good to keep it clean there, and not take nobody out. But he ended up dragging the ground, man. This flat tire thing, dude. Whew.
It sucks.
God, it does suck. And I don't know what the fix is, but like to not be able to get back to pit road because you spun out and had a flat tire when you didn't hit the wall or anything, it's not fair. It's not really the spirit of the sport.
Yeah.
That sounds so stupid, but I don't know how else to say it. It's just not. I don't love it. So had that one. That was like what 5 in. It wasn't that long because I was like, I'm gonna go down here and get me some food after all these people get out of here because lines were so long. Because nobody goes NASCAR, but there's like randomly 70,000 people there yesterday, but nobody goes.
Yeah.
In case y'all didn't know,
Yeah.
nobody goes. I really don't know how many people there was, but there's a lot.
It was pretty full.
With those drink rails, it's kind of hard to tell how full, how many people there really were there. And I know they took some seats out, but it was pretty well packed. I felt like so. We had that wreck. Then we had debris. That was when I was down using the bathroom, I believe. There. Anything good on that one that I missed?
I don't think so.
They run those quickie yellows a lot too. Did you notice
Yeah.
that? I feel
Yeah.
like they ran more quickie yellows than they have in a good while. Any race I've been to, but usually, like I've been to Bristol the last few years, so I guess they can't really do them there. And then let's see, we got to lap 151. That was like almost in. Was that like 20 to go, stage 2 or something like that?
No, that should
First
no, it
stage.
should be like 10 to go. Then stage 1 because it was 60, 100, 100.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's where we get to the rant about where Ricky Stenhouse can't drive. So like at this point in time, I'm looking down in there, and Ricky's in this stupid yellow 47 car, like Martin Potato Rolls or whatever.
Whatever it
Ricky
was.
ain't nothing but a potato roll. In case anybody was curious, he's an idiot, absolute idiot. So I was like watching for a while. So sometime in the second stage, I realized that Ricky couldn't hold a line, and that the 71 was going to go around anybody that he had a run behind, whether it was top or the bottom, and he was going to wait till he got right up to him. He was going to go, and I was like, these idiots are going to wreck somebody at some point. And I feel like 47 like handling was kind of going away too. Like tires almost mattered because it was a little bit warm, maybe. Like that's probably the warmest part of the day, I guess, and I don't know. He went down, pinched the 19, then he had to lift, and then he pushed across the track. Then he gets the back of the 9, then Chase hits the wall, breaks the toe link, whatever, blah, 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 spins out. Keselowski KOs him. I'm like, God bless. God, Corey LaJoy, poor Corey LaJoy stacking them pennies. You know what he's stacking this year? Sheet metal. Good God.
For sure.
Took that kid's college tuition and took total 2 cars, right? No, did he finish at Daytona? I think he did finish at Daytona. I better take that back because I think he did finish Daytona. So yeah, that was kind of crappy. They cleaned that up, finished the stage, yada yada yada. And Chase, like I said, he was in a bad spot. I was pissed off, pretty much. Just like, oh, mommy.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was in a bad mood. And then I was watching the 60 because that was who I picked on here. Well. And like, oh God, he might have been as bad as Stenhouse, honestly. Like, I like Priest and everything. I don't know if he's nervous, but he also didn't know what he was doing or where to go and was all over the place. So he ended up going backwards. Basically, is what happened. So before Brad got in that wreck chase, I feel like I should point out, I think he was pretty quick too. He was doing that whole make a run, kind of get shuffled, and then make runs again.
Yeah.
I feel like him, 71, and
Are you
Stenhouse
sure you're not meaning the 77?
Huh?
Are you sure you're not meaning the 77?
Yeah, I'm sorry, 77. Golly, sorry. Every time so far on this podcast I said 71, I meant 77. The only thing with 71 was 20 laps down.
Yeah.
6 to be exact. But yeah, sorry. Carson Hocevar. I apologize. That all them Spire cars look the same. The toters look the same.
Yeah,
Y'all just have to forgive me. But yeah, so I feel like Hocevar and Keselowski are both like super aggressive, just taking every move. And then you know how Brad gets. He's always in the middle of these big wrecks, these speedways.
Running people over.
Yeah, running people over, throwing blocks, either way. And he almost turned Chase, too. Like, he got him in the left rear when they were coming through that front stretch. That front stretch is so sketchy.
Yeah, the kinks are definitely a lot different than, the drafting is at like Daytona, Talladega. It's more of a D, so they can kind of stay kind of organized. But
It's
at
like
the
two
kinks, I feel
turns
like they
instead of
get
one.
really, really wild in there sometimes.
Yeah, it's like two turns instead of one. I feel like on the radio, whoever you're listening to, whenever they're about to go three wide, it's like two wide, three wide, four wide, two wide, three
Yeah,
wide, four wide,
yeah,
wham, 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 and then like there was guys coming off that second one down in turn one, just absolutely centering it to the bottom. Because if you pulled on somebody, you could get a big run down through the turn.
yeah.
In turn one, same thing in turn three. That was crazy. Those runs those guys were getting, dude. If you got a good run coming down the back stretch, you could drop to the bottom on somebody and pass like two. By the time you got the front stretch, you were back behind both of them. But
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy how it worked. I really liked that, and you could kind of make your own moves and make it happen for yourself. But yeah, so I'm just gonna have to touch on this 47 thing again. I was gonna skip it. I'm not skipping it. This is what I decided. Okay, I decided this today. We need a point system to dock drivers for wrecking if they can't drive. And I decided that we just need to talk to iRacing and see if we can't figure it out. They have what we call instant points over in iRacing, and we need instant points in NASCAR. Now, I don't want instant points for running into people because I get pissed off in iRacing when I get instant points when somebody wrecks me and I had nothing to do with it. But like, I think we just need to start keeping score. See what happens, and after X amount of points, I think you should get kicked down a league. Ricky Stenhouse would be in ARCA. I'm telling you right now, he'd be in
I don't
ARCA.
think Carson Hocevar would have a job.
I don't know because he might have enough points from winning. Like he gets some finishes. Um, Ricky never got a finish. I mean, that's if Ricky Stenhouse didn't piss Kyle Busch off, does he even have a career at this point? If he didn't date, like he's had to do so much stupid crap to stay
Yeah,
relevant.
that's
Date
true.
Danica Patrick. I mean, and then getting a half fight with Kyle Busch. Like, I mean, what else has he done? I'm waiting. He won
He's
the
won a
Daytona
couple draft
500,
races.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably cheated that up too. I mean, I don't know, but
Old Recky Spinhouse.
but like legitimately, I would be curious. I don't have the time to sit around and do the points on it, but I would be like legitimately curious to see somebody try to watch these races and score it. I don't want NASCAR to do it right now because they can't officiate anything, as pretty well
Oh
documented
man.
at this point.
Oh
So,
man.
but I would really like to kind of see it. I was trying to figure out how to do it, like almost like football, do it like sacks, like you get a
Something like that. That
half
might
sack,
work.
or full sack, kind of pending. And then like, you know, I only wonder if it's your fault if you made a bad move, like and some should be other. If you take somebody else, it should be like 5 points. If you hit somebody trying to make a pass and you spin them, that's 1 point. If you block somebody that you shouldn't have blocked, maybe like two or three. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like use a 1 to 5 scale, five being the worst, one being the least, and just kind of. I'd just be curious to see,
Yeah.
who does what, because we get on here and we complain. And one of the things I thought was interesting, they're talking about Hocevar, which we hadn't even got to that yet, but they're talking about him last night, and it's just like you get this in your head with him, and kind of same thing with Ricky too. Like, do they actually drive that bad, or do I just feel like they drive that bad?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I kind of like to see that. But anyway, that's it on the 47 rants. I'm done. NASCAR start a scoring system to dock drivers. It's like technical fouls. You get X amount. You have to sit. I don't know. Start at the back of the stage. I don't. I have no idea. Start at the back of the race. Something.
You can do like iRacing. You get 17 incident points in a race, and you get a penalty.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it probably wouldn't be 17, but that's actually not a bad idea. So if we did it like a, hold on a minute. Let me think. Look. So if we do like a 1 to 5 scale, throwing it back to basketball, you could almost make it like a 5 foul rule. Like you get 5 fouls, you foul the game. So if you take it to 5 points, so then I could wreck one, bump one, be good, but I can't turn nobody. Like if you turn somebody intentionally, wreck somebody intentionally, that's 5, right? And you get the penalty automatically. I kind of like it. It's an interesting concept, anyways. It'd be cool if somebody had time to score it. I don't, like I said. So if somebody wants to do it, feel free to do it. Please put the caution flag Contemplations on it, and be sure that you get it to Bob Pocker ass to get retweeted so we can all get famous together.
Oh
You're
yeah.
welcome for that idea, NASCAR, because y'all are listening, I know, and you're probably going to start doing that. Even if you don't tell us you're doing it, you probably start doing it. So if there are any statisticians out there that just want to make it happen, do you feel free, Um, All right, where are we at in the race? Stage two.
Yeah.
Uh, go ahead. You're up next. Tell us about the big one there.
Oh man, which one?
Like
The old
Gregson,
yeah,
99,
yeah.
44, where they all
They
stacked it in there.
yeah, they all kind of were in there coming into the dog leg, wasn't it? Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
I mean, so what I noticed from the few races I did on iRacing this week is you come out of turn three and it gets real wide, and then it gets real narrow, and then it gets real wide back again, and it just there's a lot of room that people think they can go, but they
yeah,
really can't, and I think it just causes a lot of commodity right there.
yeah. So, I mean, like 53, I'm sorry, 35, Riley Herbst basically has to lift. He kind of got pushed up. Like, he had to lift because somebody kind of made a move up, and he was nowhere really near this wreck. But he lifted, and they do what they call, the stacking. You
Yeah,
hear, if you listen to a spotter, oh my God, stacking in front of you,
yeah,
stacking in front of you,
yeah,
stacking in front of you, stacking in front of you. They're not stacking, not stacking, stacking, not stacking, stacking, like that. And basically, everybody ended up lifting. They ended up all getting together, and then 54 couldn't slow down because he's Ty Gibbs, so he doesn't believe in
yeah,
slowing down, basically.
yeah,
And he kind of got in a three wide situation, like you're talking about, wide, narrow, wide. And it is narrow whenever you're between those two kinks, right? Like
yeah,
it's not. It's really they run three wide there, but it's really a two wide race line essentially because you got to make the next kink, right?
yeah,
And it looks wider, and there's even four lines. We and you were talking before the race, even how they changed how the lines are painted there, going
yeah.
from the second one down to turn one, and um, like it was a big wreck though. There's a lot of hits. A couple guys. I don't know if you went back and watched it, but like 44, 51 had a little bit of arc brakes.
You think?
44 absolutely drilled this side of the 99 like 10 seconds after
Yeah,
99 hit the wall.
yeah.
I was like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? I felt bad for Yaley or whatever, but like, dude, we got to do better than that. And then they started a fire in the grass. I don't know if you caught that live. I hadn't seen any of
I
that on
didn't
the
see it.
video, but there
No.
was like a little fire in the grass off of the 41. Um, by the way, super slow, irrelevant Ford car. That's not probably a good sign for them if they couldn't be as fast with those 10 Fords being on the pole.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't even know. I call it 10 Fords on the pole because I didn't see nothing but a Ford in the top 10 when it started. I
Well,
think
there was one Chevrolet in the top 10,
Kyle
so.
Busch is the only Chevy in the top 10. Everything else is Ford, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, so not a great look for Cole. Yeah, Cole.
Yeah.
Hate to see him get wrecked out like that. And then 54, to his credit, drove that car all the ways around the track like crab
Sideways.
walking, like one of
Yeah.
those daggum Hummer
Yeah.
electric EVs, baby. Like, I mean, he could have done that commercial with LeBron James. You know what I'm talking about? You seen that one?
No, I don't know what you're
They
talking
got
about
like
now.
LeBron driving one of them white Hummer things doing the crab walk because, it's an
Hmm.
electric vehicle, the best
Yeah.
vehicle out there, and they can crab walk. So they had that, and then he got in the box, and dude, like, I was listening to Chase's radio. This one we're trying to get our laps back, and I'm like, please don't fix 54. Please don't fix 54. Please don't fix 54. And they were behind Chase, but
Yeah.
barely. And dude, that they changed out both sides of his rear suspension, I
Okay.
believe, on pit road. Pretty impressive. They did it pretty quick. These teams are not really wasting any time with that anymore. But props to him for at least getting it back to pit road. There's a lot of guys couldn't do that. So this wreck was interesting. This is what it was something I didn't even tell you about, and I was saving for the podcast. So I noticed they got all those cars that was hooked up down there. It was like the 99, 41, and there was one more car. Gregson or the 38, one of them two was down there.
Mm.
They got two of them hooked up. It was three cars. They got two of them hooked up to the wrecker that were stuck down there in turn one. And then they were hooking up Priest. He was the one that was on fire, like on the inside wall, absolutely buried. And they didn't take any of them back to the garage work area until they all went. It's like they hooked these wreckers up, and then they pulled them, like started to leave the scene of the accident, waited for all the rest of them, and they all went around together. And I was curious if that's like, well, you're in the wreck, we're not going to tow anybody back first. kind of thing with the
That's
new rules.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I was curious if you happened to notice it. Also, I
I
wasn't
didn't
sure
catch
if like
that.
they wanted to have a safety vehicle behind them, because they did run one of those AMR like F-150s or whatever behind them with lights flashing, and
Yeah,
I just kind of thought that was curious, how they did that. So definitely kind of wanted to see if you noticed that, but apparently you didn't. So something kind of look forward to see what they do. I know there's still a lot of question about this work area and getting cars towed back. I found out after the race, Ty Dillon there early in the race, we kind of skipped it, but he was down there like doing burnouts and stuff trying to get back to pit road. Well, apparently he wanted to push. I didn't know this. Apparently in the rule book, you cannot get pushed back to your stall.
really.
Yeah, you get towed. Um, you can get pushed like you can get pushed off to
To get
start it,
started.
but you can't get pushed if you're stuck.
Mm.
Like you can't get pushed if your tires are blown,
Flat.
basically.
Yeah.
So, and if you get towed, you have to go behind the wall. You can't go to the pit box, and that all comes from that whole Blaney thing at Watkins Glen and all that. But just interesting things that are going to matter for some of those bubble teams, I think, probably down the road. And I hope NASCAR gets it figured out. But I really would be curious. I'll try to listen to that Hauler Talk podcast this week and see if they say anything about it. Because I'm sure somebody else had to notice that. Because I was like, usually they hook them up and roll them as fast as they get them done. The other thing too, they had to pull them all the ways around the track, which I know we talked about that in the middle of the race. That like
Yeah, that
even the pace car wasn't turning in at the front of pit road. I decided that they had to put that temporary wall up because the pack racing right there, and they were afraid if they wrecked off four, they didn't want an opening.
yeah, that's probably
So I'm
a good
saying,
idea. Yeah.
because that's something in the pack racing like that happens at Daytona and Talladega a lot coming off four. People wadded up or whatever, and even if they're running
Right down pit
90,
road.
because they can be running 90 on that exit lane right up before that. If they spin out doing that, hit the wall, that'd be a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's what that was. It was still kind of sketchy to me to see a pace car on pit road. I
Doing
was
about
thinking,
150 and then slow down,
well,
slamming in
dude, it was
reverse.
crazy because like he would pull down on pit road and then stop, let the whole field go past, and then like you're talking about, do like an absolute launch in that
Yeah,
Mustang down pit road,
yeah.
and like he would get past the
It's that
first
wall.
opening and
And kind of
like,
like turn back up to the track and then
yeah, dude, he
slam it
did
in
turn up
reverse.
back to the track to back it in that hole, and I was
Yeah,
like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what if somebody is like running behind the field, like, because I suck at
yeah,
iRacing. Half time I'm coming off the pit road, like trying to get every second of damage repair I can under caution, right? And they'll be like, come back to green, and I pull off, and it's like I'm still running 150,
yeah,
and everybody else is barely up to speed. So, glad there's no issue with that. Just kind of different, weird
yeah,
procedural thing to see. And I'm glad you know this thing too about pulling forwards. I was like, can you just turn in and then just back up somewhere over there? Because
yeah,
this is sketchy. Like,
yeah.
because at one point, I think it might have been Michael McDowell, and I was like, dude, if he just, which it's not likely to happen, but if the rear end breaks or something, he goes sliding down the inside and hits that dude in that Mustang,
He's
that is a
done for.
bad day,
Yeah,
right? Like that's a bad
yeah,
day. So that was kind of interesting to watch, but that was a big wreck. And we really never got any green after that, really,
yeah.
until that last run. I guess last run was what, like almost 40 laps.
Something like that.
Um, so we did that. You had let's see, you had another wreck with the 54 again. Bowman. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had that one. That was Busher again. And then that was when I was like, there's no way we're going to go. I thought it was going to be like every 10 laps, it's going to be a caution. And then it was like 44 to go or something like that, I feel like, when they restarted maybe. And I was like, we'll probably wreck. I think that's when I looked at, like, we're wrecking at least two more times, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and y'all were like, yeah, for sure. And then we didn't. And then Larson, your boy, you want to walk us
Hey,
through how you were
man.
feeling there?
So, man,
Don't
yeah,
talk
I
about the
had.
block yet. How'd you feel getting to it?
I mean, he just came down and had a run on the inside.
Well,
I mean, we got through the corner and I was listening to the spotter and he's got to run. And he says clear and then he's like, still there, still there, still there, still there. And Larson does not talk for like a solid 30 seconds and neither the spotter, nobody's saying nothing. And I don't remember what he said, but he finally hit the button. You could tell he was like, yeah, that was on me.
yeah, I I was like proud of old young Money there. He was up there running in the front. Like he ain't
Yeah,
never run the front in a
no,
restrictor plate drafting track. But
not at
like
all.
I felt like the whole thing where you could like kind of pull somebody off their door. Like it
Yeah,
was, he did a really good job,
yeah,
and it really like lets you drive. This is one of those like Hamlin said on his podcast that senior and junior would have been terrible in today's world, not at Atlanta, because
yeah,
this was like one of those like you could pull up to somebody, pull them back, make a run, cut under them, cut back up in front of them if you could clear them. And Larson was doing a good job at all that. But yeah, so Cindric gets that run on the outside. The crazy thing to me, and I don't know about you, and I know this is starting Saturday, but like the fact that if somebody had a run, they could go to the top or the bottom on your ass and absolutely leave you, that is wild.
yeah.
You don't see that at Daytona and Talladega,
No,
really. Like you're not a sitting duck, or you haven't been in a while, anyways. I mean, I remember back in the Gen 6 cars, there it was kind of like you almost didn't want to be leading. In Atlanta, you almost didn't want to be leading. You
yeah,
saw it in the truck race, even with Kyle Busch, even with as good as his truck was, he kept getting passed. He'd pass him back,
yeah,
um, but yeah, Larson was doing really good. Man, that was like what, 2 to go.
something like
I
that.
mean, my thing about that was, yeah, it was a bad block, probably. But at the end of the day, he was either going to throw that block or he was going to lose the race.
Yeah,
And from Cindric's point of view, it was either wreck or lift, and
you don't want to
I
lift.
mean, he was there. I
Yeah,
felt like he was there. Um, it's one of those things we talk. It's funny because we did joke earlier in the day that being Kyle Larson's spotter is like the most useless job in
yeah,
NASCAR, given the whole sprint cars and late models and midgets, and like he don't need a spotter.
yeah.
I mean, and you'd even made comments early in the race about clearing himself and all this kind of stuff, and it just wasn't there. And like I think he was hoping it was going to be there. And if you go back and you watch the race, I think you would see there was a lot of guys where at that point that top line would kind of stall out, and then he would get
Yeah,
back, and he just didn't do it. And
yeah,
Cindric ends up wrecking, takes out him in the 24. Byron had a great run. It's gonna be a long year for anybody that doesn't like William Byron, because they're gonna be strong probably all year. I think. I think he's kind of coming into his own. I think he's kind of finally made it through that 100 race learning curve, and they seem to have their stuff going together. I think the Rudy Fugle thing was that last year he came back, I believe.
yeah. I think so.
I think that's a big adjustment for
Yeah,
Byron. He raced with him, all his other years at KBM and Junior Motorsports and all that stuff. So I think that's a great add for him. And but yeah, so that's kind of a shame. But yeah, Larson wrecked him for sure.
he gave him the good old iRacing car
Yeah.
high. I mean,
But the good news is that set us up for what we all want to see. If you're
oh
like
yeah,
people like fans like us, if I can see Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson on the front
oh yeah.
row, it don't matter. I'd watch them
I'd watch
boys
him
race
race
shopping
lawnmowers.
carts.
Yeah,
Like I don't give a dang.
yeah.
I was super excited that it set up that kind of finish for us, and I was really looking forward to it. And then what? Hocevar goes down there to bottom, and I was like, "Oh, baby, this is about to get interesting."
Yeah,
And so they go and they doing the thing on the overtime. They get the white flag, and whatever happened on the backstretch. I don't even know. I hadn't really watched the video. It doesn't really matter. They had to call the caution, in my opinion. A lot of people are complaining. What's your stance? Are you believing in the caution, or you think they should let him go back?
man. I wish they would just pick a side and stay with it.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
mean, I don't care either or. I mean, honestly, I saw a tweet last night. I don't remember who it was, but somebody said that they should just adjust the overtime rule to make it where it doesn't matter if it's a white flag. If there's a caution before the checker, just do another overtime.
well,
And I think, I mean, why don't we do that? I mean,
yeah,
there's no reason I think to end these races under caution. I don't think so because it took away what would have been another three wide finish 2 years in a row, I think. But I mean, I
yeah,
understand where they're coming from with the safety aspect, but at the same time, it's like
yeah.
it's they're ruining some of this racing that
So
everybody really wants to see.
So back to what you said, your first answer is I just want to pick one, right? Like that's the biggest thing. And if they didn't do what they did at Daytona last week, we're not even having this conversation
Yeah,
today,
multiple
right?
times. I mean,
So,
and
um,
also the Xfinity race, like they did the same thing. It's the same, pretty much the same exact wreck, and it wasn't a caution. I mean,
yeah,
they gotta pick a side.
yeah, it was a weird deal, but sorry, my wife just got home. I'm looking at the baby monitor. Uh, yeah, so my take on it is kind of what you're saying. It's like we go to the dirt track. We do this at the dirt track all the time, right?
Yeah,
Like we don't finish races under caution at the dirt
no,
track ever, never. So, like with that in mind, like you can do it, but you also know that sometimes what comes with that is
you're gonna
restart,
have,
restart, restart, and somebody
yeah,
getting screwed. And from I know from the TV partner perspective, they don't want to run six overtime
yeah,
restarts because they're going to get out of it, and the owners don't want to just tear up all the cars. But like at some point, man, this is kind of back to what I was saying earlier about the difference in the trucks and Cup, kind of the joke, making the jokes about well now the truck guys can drive when the Cup guys can't. Like, dude, they're just got to learn how to finish
yeah,
and be patient and take what they get. Sometimes you don't win,
yeah,
but there's a lot of young guys. Like you look through this field, there's a lot of guys in there that's just not happy with anything other than a win, and that's good because that's what we want. But we put such a premium on winning with this win and you're in, and it just I don't know. I'm kind of like you though. They need to figure something out. And if they just go back to what they've been doing and just call it the same way, it's fine. The
yeah,
Daytona 500 thing. Here's the thing about that, and this is why I'm gonna kind of give them a pass on that. One, the tracks are different. So we
yeah,
already
for
talked about the
sure.
fact that there's not really that many openings at Atlanta. Even they had to shut off that one on the front stretch, right? Really, there was only two places for fire trucks. There was one in turn one. There was one in turn three. That was it. So that wreck happened back there. They were going to have to roll all the ways from turn one around. There's a debris field back there, and there was still guys back there behind it. They were trying to drive through that crap. They were going to hit the wall. Um, and we don't need guys that are on wrecked cars with missing wheels and driving through a debris field running 180. That's
Yeah, for
somebody
sure.
will get hurt eventually, right?
Yeah,
Back to that whole travel thing. If you got a flat tire, you might bank it off one wall and then absolutely go head on into this one. So, I think safety wise, I think it's the right call. Um, I'd be okay to go to just race till it's green, but I'd also be okay to go back to just say, hey, race is over under caution. So,
yeah. As
if you're
long as
going
you can just pick one, and
I
be
will
content.
say this: if you're gonna go back to racing to the flag, then just go ahead and go back to the old rules, and we don't need overtime because that's what we used to do. I mean,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people forgot the whole reason we went away from racing to the flag was not because of a checker flag; it was because of a yellow flag when we used to do this all the time. And Dale Jarrett's sitting on the front stretch, I believe Dover, Darlington, something like that, and he talked about unbuckling his belts to get out and then realizing that he's sitting right at the start finish line. These guys are coming wide open trying to get their
yeah,
lap back and all that. That's why we quit. And if we're going to race back to the line, if we made that decision that we feel like that's safe to do now all of a sudden, which sounds kind of ignorant, then like let's just quit worrying about doing overtime. So
yeah,
um, I can see it either way, but they need to make a decision. I do think this is one thing I want to give credit to NASCAR on Saturday night. They did say that they should have thrown the caution in the Xfinity
yeah,
race. They didn't. So like I do like this new transparency from the officiating, the podcast, the fact that they'll come out the next day in the drivers' meeting and say, "Hey, we messed that up last night." I like that. It's still not great. It's kind of like in football when there's a bad pass interference call, and then on Monday
yeah,
in the NFL they're like, "Yeah, we shouldn't do that," or the SEC commissioner's like, "No, that was a bad call. These guys will be disciplined." Blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? That really didn't help me on
yeah,
Saturday or Sunday.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
but I do like it, and it's different that they're at least kind of letting us see. And I think if you listen to that Holler Talk podcast, if you listen to NASCAR podcast, if you listen to this, you do for sure. So, listen to it. It's interesting. They did an interview with the guy, and he mentioned a thing about the different openings and stuff like that. And then, guys, the truth is, the Daytona 500 is the most watched race of the year. And if you're trying to get more fans, you can't end it under caution.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so it's kind of different circumstances, and but yeah, I mean as soon as they wrecked, I was ready to walk out because I knew they were throwing the yellow.
Yeah.
Like I said, that did rip us out of our three wide finish there with Hocevar, Larson, and Bell. Um, Bell had them. Hocevar would have won the race if it would have gone back to the line,
Well,
is my opinion.
so here's my opinion on that. Me and the guy at work were actually talking
Yeah,
about this today. Originally, that was my opinion too, as I said, well, I think Hocevar would have won it because he would have had the middle, and I think he would have kind of pushed Bell up and slowed him down. And I don't think Larson would have had a run on the outside. But then at the same time, Hocevar's Hocevar. He probably would have taken all three of them out. I mean,
yeah, and
in the race, the way he was running everybody, he dumped Ryan Blaney, he ran
yeah,
Kyle Busch like an ass. I mean,
yeah,
all of it. Like he
yeah.
was, it's kind of uncontrollable. You know,
Well,
I seen another tweet too that was talking about, whenever you're getting yelled at by Ross Chastain, you did something wrong. And that's
I
pretty true. It's like, damn,
I had that thought when we were walking out and I was listening, and they were like, "Yep, Ross Chastain is chewing Carson Hocevar in the grass." I was like, "Oh, we've come a long way."
yeah,
Um, Also, just to point out, I mean, Larson was driving like an ass yesterday, so
he
Larson
was,
could have wrecked him too. If
yeah,
Bell's not going to back down, and if
no,
I mean, so all three of them guys, Ryan Blaney was sitting there in fourth. He probably would like to see it go back to
yeah,
the flag too, right?
yeah.
Shout out to Ryan Blaney. He
That
uh,
save was pretty
the
impressive.
save was good, and dude, he
And
was
being able to charge
absolutely
back from
on it
that.
with the
Yeah,
tires. Absolutely on
yeah.
kill coming back through there to get back to fourth. So that was a lot of fun to watch. Since Chase was pretty much done, I actually tuned into his radio and everything, and he was making some of those big cuts and all that kind of stuff too, and I enjoyed watching that. So good to see that. Hated it ended the way that it did. I'm glad to see Bell win. I think I've probably said it on here. Like I'm here for the Kyle Larson Christopher Bell show this year.
I think that'll be the next big rivalry in NASCAR.
So that
I
puts
think it's
Bell
got
up
good
one,
potential.
right?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
mean, basically. So what happens next week? And other thing too, like we're going to Coda. Bell is an underrated road course racer,
For sure.
actually. Um, so I'm pretty excited to see what happens. Watch that throughout the year. Um, Solid run for Blaney. Somehow, freaking 47 ended up fifth. Why?
He
How? I
always
have no
somehow
idea.
magically ends up in the
Denny
top.
Denny Hamlin ended up sixth. I didn't even know he was on the
Never
track till
yeah,
halfway through
exactly.
stage
I
two.
mean,
So like, I mean, literally, I was like, "Oh, that's Hamlin, that purple car." Huh?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Which that's just for the record, it's terrible not him not having FedEx. I
yeah.
wish he had it back.
Weird.
Good run for him. Bubba Wallace with a top 10. Ross Chastain, eighth. Other notables there. AJ Allmendinger somehow snuck up there to like 14th. Probably good. I mean, they've been terrible, so that worked out good
Yeah,
for him. Chase, after going 2 laps down, ends up finishing 20th in one
that's a
piece.
decent recovery
We'll
for
take
him
it.
there.
Um, but yeah, some of the guys that got screwed there, Austin Cindric, he ran good all day, finished 28th. William Byron
Yeah,
ran good all day, finished 27th. Josh Berry led a lot of the race. I mean, it's honestly probably not fair we hadn't mentioned him till now.
yeah.
He was good all day. Looked like it was a regular Penske car. It
I
did not look like
definitely,
what we've seen out of
yeah.
21.
I definitely think that him and Cindric had the two best cars all day
Yeah,
from the majority of the race there.
yeah, they were up there making moves and everything. So, not the finish they wanted, but if Josh keeps that up, he'll definitely get a win this year. I think if he
Yeah.
stays doing that, you got enough of these drafting deals, and um, we'll see what happens there. Anyways, moving on, we will, I guess, talk a little bit about the truck and Xfinity, and then we'll talk about our picks and move on
Yeah.
out.
I want to make one
Yeah,
mention. So in an interview that I watched on Twitter last night on the way back, they were talking to Hocevar after all his confrontations with Blaney and everybody and Ross, and they're talking about something, and this other guy asked a question. And he's like, "Yeah, your conversation with Blaney seemed a little more constructive and actually talking, but then Ross kind of seemed to be chewing you out a little bit." And Carson's response was something along the lines, "Yeah, honestly, he was just telling me about the triple dipper from Chili's and all the options you can get." And I think that's just pretty funny,
Yeah,
the way he's doing that Chili's deal. And I
yeah,
think it's cool that they got him pretty sponsored up there. I seen him. He posted the picture getting on the plane holding the Chili's bag last night, and
yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Listen, I'm just gonna say it. Hocevar reminds me a lot of young Kyle Busch.
Yeah, for sure.
Reckless for sure, but don't care, and he's
Yeah,
trying to win. And so we'll see what happens with that. Like he'll have to figure it out. Ross, man, we talked about it like when we were out in the campground and stuff Saturday and Sunday before the race, like not the campground but tailgating, and like he's been terrible really since Jeff and Rick complained
yeah,
about him.
yeah.
Um, and we wondered, did they pull the? You have to wonder, what did
Does that
Chevy
give
cut
Phil some
off? What got
support?
cut
Yeah,
off? Then you see Pitbull leave Trackhouse. You hear that maybe there's another manufacturer coming in. Obviously, it sounds like this, we hadn't talked about this yet, but Dodge is apparently coming back next year for
for
trucks,
truck.
and then
Yep.
27 looking at being in Cup. But I'm still hearing that Hyundai is looking at it for Cup. I don't know. That'd be internet garbage, but to me, it keeps popping up in way too many places, and I'll be accurate.
Yeah,
They build them in Atlanta. Makes sense. Probably a good sales thing. So they also race in, I think, IMSA
I
now.
think
I
so.
think they
Yeah,
got some IMSA cars that
they got a
race. So
couple IMSA cars, I think.
uh, wouldn't be surprised to see them pull up in there. And like Trackhouse, to me, like we were talking about this yesterday, they're so. I mean, Chevy's full.
Yeah,
And they're probably maybe looking at going. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Hocevar is definitely going to be one to watch. I think over the next 10 years, and
I
you
think
know,
he breaks through for a win in Cup this year. I
he
really do.
might get a win, but he's still. I go back to the chase and what I was saying earlier about Byron. That 100 win
Yeah,
time, like 100 race. Once you
race.
get 100 races in, that's 3 years. Once you get those 3 years in, that's usually when you really start getting somewhere. So
Yeah,
just give him some time, and we'll see what he can do. But yeah, it's pretty funny whenever Ross was chewing him out for
yeah.
sure. And they asked Ross on the radio. I was listening on the way out, and they were like, he was like, "Were you happy with the answer you got?" And he was like, "No." Mm-mm. He was like, "You gonna tell us what to talk about?" He's like, "No." Mm-mm. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Ross is angry.
yeah.
Ross big angry. He splashed
He's
watermelon on your
he's
head."
he's also one that I don't know that you really want to get angry at you.
No, God no. He might hit you in the head with a watermelon.
Yeah,
He also, I mean, listen, he drinks Busch Light. You don't want to fight with guys who drink Busch Light. Trust me. But yeah, so trucks, it's a good race.
yeah,
200 miler, 208.
yeah. 208.
208 miles. The Freight 208. I like the name. I like the 208. It's kind of like when they used to run that like 199 or 299 or whatever at Loudon, New Hampshire. It's different. I like it.
Something different. Yeah.
The Aaron's 499 at Talladega. You remember that one?
Hmm.
So I like that too. But basically, the Chevys were quick and they ran one,
They
two, three, four,
lined
five,
up
six,
in
seven, eight,
those
nine, ten
first
for a
couple
long
stages there.
time.
Yeah,
And that third stage, they started throwing moves at Kyle. But
and he
like,
just go back to the bottom and absolutely blow by him.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
passed him. It was almost like he was toying with them, letting them pass
yeah,
him in 3 and 4, knowing that they were gonna go
yeah.
back up in front of him. He was gonna go back underneath him. They were gonna be right behind him, not underneath him. There's nothing they could do. I
Yeah.
mean, and
I
even
mean,
who was it that was up there on the last lap? Passed him on the last lap, and he got
oh
him back.
man, I
I
don't
can't.
remember. But that
Here,
whole
I'll look.
race, I was listening to his spotter and that
Friesen. It
whole
was
truck
Friesen.
race. Yeah, that's right. It was
Yeah,
Stewie. And I had his Kyle spotter. I mean, that whole race is the same thing like Kyle Larson. I mean, the spotter had not said clear yet, and Kyle's already done past him
yeah,
up on the
yeah,
fence. I mean,
yeah.
that's another thing in the truck race. You might not want to be Kyle Busch's spotter. That's a pretty easy job.
Yeah, vintage Kyle Busch go
Yeah,
out, dominate a truck race, and ran good on Sunday.
he did.
Way better than Dylan ran, just for the record. I know he kind of, I think, faded and came back, but Kyle Busch, I mean, I hope that it's not over for him. The win will help Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
I think racing, all this other crap he's been racing is probably helping Kyle Busch as well. So, excited to see what happens there. He goes on, gets the win, burns it down, son.
oh yeah,
Absolutely for a
smoked
truck
him.
smoke show. I like that. Stuart Friesen finished second. Kind of heartbreak hotel after leading for Stuart. Man, he can't ever catch a break, dude. Like
No man.
that's a hard working dude.
Yeah,
Races his big blocks and all this stuff, late models, and I always kind of liked him, but man, he's turned one of them guys in the trucks forever,
Yeah.
kind of like
One
Matt
of them Matt
Crafton,
Crafton
you
types.
know.
Yep.
Like him and Matt Crafton is kind of like Hornaday and Dennis Setzer or something
Yeah.
like that, or Mike Skinner,
Yeah.
like just been there forever. Grant Enfinger's turned one of them guys too, and he was up there a
Yeah.
lot,
Definitely.
pretty relevant. Any other notables? Oh, dude, Ben
The cat
Rhodes.
litter. I want to mention the
Oh
damn
yeah,
cat
I'll let you
litter.
have that. I just want to point
So
out Ben Rhodes was as bad as Carson Hocevar, like as far as not being able to ride
yeah,
behind
I mean
anybody.
he was
He was in
sending
a
them
he
every
was in a
goddamn chance.
bright ass orange truck, and every lap he was trying to put somebody in the wall.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, cat litter, we're ready.
Yeah, so we had that wreck. I don't remember exactly when it was or who it was, but somebody wrecked on the front stretch and, he was stopped or whatever and he tried to go through the little cutout where like the little Legends track is. NASCAR told him he couldn't do that, so they made him drive around the track, dump oil everywhere. And then we spent the next 30 minutes
Oh yeah,
dumping the speedy dry everywhere and parked the cars on the back stretch. And then, I hear on Kyle Busch's radio, he's like, yeah, these cars don't have right side windows. They're about to blow all this shit in here. Sure enough, they blow it all in there. And at one point, Kyle on the radio goes, man, I've never owned a cat in my life, and I know why now. I mean, they had to be absolutely nasty
like I said,
up in there.
vintage Kyle
Yeah,
Busch. I saw a video from this somebody taken off the back stretch, and dude, they
they
absolutely just
pelted him.
smoked it in there, and
Yeah,
yeah, that was interesting. We had the beach of Atlanta Motor Speedway there. That was Swalich and Rajah wrecked,
that's
and
right. That's right.
Rajah ended up putting in the pit box. Swalich started to, but he was gonna have to go backwards, like I
Yeah,
don't know, 10 or 15 spots. They're like, no, you gotta take it around.
yeah.
And then he drove on the track, not on the apron,
And oil all the way
and
around the
then
track.
literally oiled the entire track.
Yeah.
So they had to run like 4 laps of speedy dry, 4 laps with the blowers. It was, I mean, I'm pretty sure they had to go to Talladega and pick up some more speedy dry because they were out for Sunday, honestly. Never seen anything like that. I've never really
Yeah,
seen a red flag for speedy dry
yeah.
around the whole track like
That's
that. I felt like
wild.
we were back at like Boys Speedway
With the old
uh,
dirt car.
with the old
Yeah.
dirt buggy, aka the manure spreader.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it felt like. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up because that was stupid that we sat there that long for that. I was
Yeah.
like, golly, we're gonna have to push the Xfinity start back because we got a beach down here in Atlanta infield. But yeah, good time truck race. Let's see. I don't even want to talk about this Xfinity race. It was such a snooze fest.
I mean, if you don't drive an RCR race car in the Xfinity Series, really specifically at drafting tracks, but almost anywhere, I mean, you might as well pack it up.
I mean,
they're just
like
they got the drafting power and arrow, whatever it is.
it
They
has
they
got
are
to
just
be an
the best.
arrow thing. Like it's the power in the arrow, and I don't know what it is, but they are untouchable. We put it on the picks last week. Austin Hill of the field, people. That is 37 against 1. We
And
both took 37 and we both lost. So,
yeah,
which is kind of rigged. Bennett Transportation in Atlanta, headquarters, Bennett Transportation race. I don't know.
it is what it is.
That lady, whenever she did start the engine, she was like, Austin Hill and drivers. And I was like,
Yeah,
that was dumb. Sorry.
yeah,
ZZ Top also really blew the start the engine on the Cup race, just for
yeah.
the record. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot there.
I was hoping Carson Waffle kind of would have had a little better, but he had some bad luck there. But I think he did good for what he had.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about TJ Majors. I can talk crap about TJ Majors
Yeah,
right now. I listened to him pretty much that whole race, and like
yeah,
he was great. Like at start race, like man, this will be like if you're new, young at this is great.
yeah.
And then like by the end of it, I was like, I mean, he could have made that move, but like TJ, like
Wouldn't let him. He's like,
it's
no,
not that
no,
he
no, no.
wouldn't let him. He's just afraid of making like he seemed afraid of making a move that he couldn't make
Yeah,
because if he messed up, then he would get yelled at. And his crew chief even said something in his ear, and he was like, "Hey, listen, you don't have to wait on TJ. If you feel a move,
yeah,
go."
yeah. I remember that.
And but Carson's going to be good too. He just needs
Yeah,
some time. So good run from him. I felt bad for old Connor Zilic getting his
yeah. That was
door
my pick.
absolutely knocked out. For
Dang.
some reason, though, they did let him drive around without foam, and then it peeled back.
Yeah.
Man, another caution.
Who was that ran it over? Was it oh man, was it Sanchez that hit it?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In the
he
48.
absolutely popped that thing.
Yeah, he had the door foam. Like
Yeah.
he had a blue grill full. So, yeah, that was dumb. Um, Also, one more comment I was going to make on the Xfinity race. So, under caution, the Xfinity guys, the Cup guys are pretty good at this whole fuel saving thing. These Xfinity guys still need a little help. And
Yeah.
I swear to God, I would start passing these people under yellow. Like, dead ass serious. Just pass them. Because if they're going to coast, just pass them. Like, if they're not running, if they're not meeting speed, you can pass them. I'm also tired of this fuel saving under caution thing, anyways. So, I about want NASCAR to mandate that your car has to be running. And I almost want like a speed that you have to be within, like a minimum speed. Which
Might not be a bad
technically there
idea.
is one, I guess. Like you're supposed to be at caution speed, and if somebody comes around you because you're not maintaining caution speed, but then like I noticed at one point you get these teammates, and dude, they just shut it down and like coast the whole way down the front
Yeah.
stretch, and it's like, what do we do? Just run the cars. It's so stupid too. Whenever they do the start, like on Sunday, they did "Gentlemen, start your engines,"
Got the thing
and
right off.
immediately shut them right back off
Yep.
until they roll them. Like Blaney's on the pole. He's the first one to fire up. Nobody else fired it until they were leaving. I mean,
Yeah.
it just I don't know. The cars. Can we just do something about it? It's just bad
Yeah.
optics.
I also
And
noticed like it's got to be pretty heartbreaking as soon as you pit, right as you leave the box, your crew chief says,
yeah,
"Hey, I need you to save hard
yeah,
here." It's like,
yeah.
damn, I thought we just filled this thing
Yeah,
up.
that's like when you're doing iRacing and like you come out of the pits and you're like, oh, I only put a half can in there.
Yeah,
Damn
you gotta make sure you get a couple clicks in there.
it. So like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of all the fuel mileage stuff. Thankfully, the Cup race really didn't end up having that
Yeah,
much of it. Obviously, they do it all the time, but it wasn't too bad. But overall, Xfinity race is good. Austin Hill smoked him. I don't know if he did a decent burnout. He went and parked in the grass behind the Bennett logo, and I was
yeah.
like,
Gotta get
Bennett
that sponsor
Transportation.
replacement.
I don't know why I don't like Austin Hill. I want to like Austin Hill. I just can't.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just he just don't do it for me. But it's not his fault. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about these picks real quick from this week. Then we'll talk about next week's schedule and make our picks, and we will roll on out of here. We've cracked the hour mark, so congratulations. We're almost ready for bedtime.
yeah,
Picks. So we had 5 picks this week. We went 2 for 2 on the tie. Okay. How I wrote this thing about the cars it's kind of backwards, but how we talked about it and how we picked it is right, and I was correct and you were wrong because you
yeah,
said that one was going to flip, and I said one wasn't. We had 3 series, didn't happen.
yeah.
So I got the win on that one. I picked Blaney. Blaney finished 4th. Wait, Shay, you took 9. 9 finished 20th. Chase was good too before he wrecked. He ran up
Yeah.
through there when he wanted to. He was pretty good. Trucks. I took Michael McDowell to beat the Kyle Busch, and that was clearly the dumbest decision
It's a
anybody's
big
made all
W
weekend.
right there, son.
Kyle Busch absolutely murdered him. Michael McDowell is basically irrelevant. So there's that. And the Xfinity pick, we both
Yeah,
took
we
the
both
field,
whiffed there.
and we both missed. I even tried to call my shot with Jesse Love, and you talked about RCR. Jesse was not up there. He really wasn't
Yeah.
up there that much. So once he kind of got shuffled, when he was up there with Austin, he was good. When he got shuffled, he was done.
Yeah.
And then on the 5th, can Casper make it home before 11:30 p.m.? I did not. I could have if Kyle Larson didn't put Austin Cindric in the watch. I want to point that out. So yeah, so we tied 2-2. So that means 1 week for you, 1 week for me, and 1 tie. So we're 1-1 on the season. Going into next weekend, the schedule for next weekend is COTA. We have Xfinity Saturday at COTA, Cup Sunday at COTA, IndyCar Sunday at COTA at noon. We should have done a pick for IndyCar, but we're not doing that yet. And then also back to the dirt world that we didn't get to talk about at the start of today's episode. We got Spring Nationals at Sonoa. Is that how you say it?
I guess.
I'm going to say Sonoa, Sonoy. I don't know. However you guys want to
Yeah.
say it. Dude, they were down there, had their simulator set up
Yep,
in the
they
pits
did.
at Atlanta. It's like 30 minutes away. It's awesome. If you guys are in that area, go down there and see old Bubba Pollard and the fam down there at the Sonoa Raceway. 10,000 to win, $2,500 red clay 602s, That's actually an underrated 602 late model
Yeah,
class. They come race up here at Smoky Mountain, and pretty good cars. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, South. It's a pretty
yeah.
good little deal.
All the good crate racers on it.
I put Saturday. I think I'm wrong here, just for the record. That Spring Nationals race is on Saturday at Snow. That 15K Supers at Cherokee for the Ginger Owens Memorial is actually on Sunday. Okay.
Mm,
They always race on Sunday at Cherokee. I was like, why would they race on Friday and not Saturday? So
yeah.
it's actually that's actually Saturday, and then Cherokee is on Sunday for the Ginger Owens Memorial. 15,000 to win at Cherokee Speedway for those of you that like rubbered up red racetracks.
Cutting tires.
I think they put clay on it.
Really?
They're under new management down there. If you remember, they did that thing with HTF. You guys want to watch that race? That'll be on Hunt's Front TV. I'm pretty sure that Spring Nats race is on Flow Saturday night. If you want to watch that, I'm sure we'll probably tune in. We might talk about it, we might not, and then dirt racing comes back the week after that, and we are up and at it. Hunt the Front will be at I-75 on March 8th, so that's kind of the look forward on the dirt. We'll talk about that probably next week. So, all right, picks for this week. I still want to do 5, so we're going to do 2 Cup, 2 Xfinity, and then we're going to do an over-under. I kind of like the over-under, all right? So we're going to start with the over-under on Cup cautions. Over-under 5. There is going to be stage breaks. That's automatic 2. On the short course, we're on the short course at Coda. Okay, I'm going to take the under.
I will most definitely go the over.
Okay, sounds good. So that's stage breaks plus 3. So
Yeah.
that's fine. So it's got to go over 5. So I get 5. You get 6. All right,
Yeah.
just to be clear. I'll change this right here. So we're sorry, I'm still working on all this, but this is what this means. All right, Cup pick. This is just kind of the out there one. Connor Zilic versus Shane Van Gisbergen.
I'm going to take Zilic.
This
I'm
is
just going to go and say it.
this is Zilic's first race, correct?
In the Cup cars.
In the
yeah.
Cup car.
Think
SVG. I'm afraid SVG is about to be a disappointment. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm a little bit worried about it. So we'll see. I feel like they came back leaps and bounds on him on the road courses already in the last 2 years. So we'll see what happens. Connor, he wins when he starts. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with SVG, actually, even though I was just talking crap about him. You're going to take Zilic.
Yep.
What car is he running? What number is he running?
87, I believe.
That's right. And that's a Red Bull or something.
Red Bull car, yeah.
All right, and then the next Xfinity, we're going to Zilic first. Jesse Love.
I'm taking Zilic again. I think he's going to be unbeatable this weekend on the road courses.
Sounds good. Jesse Love runs good on road courses. He doesn't always win. Second Xfinity pick is Sheldon Creed. Oh, I got a pick there. I'm going to go Zilic too. I don't want to because I hate matching you, but I think I'm going to go with that. Creed versus Swalich. Swalich absolutely killed everybody on road courses in ARCA last year. I don't know if you paid attention to any of that.
He did.
Creed also, though, has a little bit of road racing background back to the trophy truck days and all that crap.
You get the first one.
He likes to body him up. I'm going to go Creed.
Yeah, I would totally disagree with you. I'm going to go with Swalich. Creed can be okay at times, but I don't have that much confidence in him.
I think if Swalich wants to be relevant in the Xfinity Series, he has to pretty much win a road course this year, just for the record. And he might have to win more than that. Next up is going to be final one for the Cup race. Here's going to be Chase Elliott versus A.J. Allmendinger head-to-head. They will be within 2 spots of each other most of the race because every Cup race, that's how it is. So who you got?
I'll take the old ding-ding.
Of course you will. I'm taking Chase. So we're going for a dub.
Yeah.
That's probably not a good sign that I'm picking him, but that's what I'm going with. So we'll see what happens. We'll probably tie again. We only pick same on 1 in the Xfinity, so anybody wants to go ahead and bet on Jesse Love to beat Connor Zilic head-to-head, you probably want to go for that because we'll probably throw up air balls on that. But other than that, I don't got a lot to say. Hopefully we'll be back next week. And thank you guys. We had a pretty good week on YouTube here as far as I'm concerned. We're just out here doing this for the hell of it, literally, to have fun. And I like talk bullshit. I got this hat right here
Oh Lord.
for the weekend. Captain Bullshit. That is me. So
Yeah.
anybody that knows me knows that's pretty accurate, and I probably should wear it more often than just when I go to the racetrack. But yeah, man, like I'm having a good time. Thank you guys for listening. If you watch, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share it with anybody if you want to. You got anything good in iRacing going on this week? We got anything we need to know about for the iRacers out
Not
there?
really. I mean, the dirt late models are at a shitty track for supers this week. And
What track?
that's damn Williams Grove. It's
That's
about
not
the
no.
worst
Yeah, for
ever.
you. Everybody
Um,
else likes it.
not on iRacing, dude.
Oh.
It's
Are they gonna have Shane Gillis out there?
I wish, man.
I've seen a picture of Shane
Yeah,
Gillis at Williams
yeah.
Grove before. So, but yeah, well, oh well. I guess you're gonna do some Coda racing.
I'll probably try a couple.
I wonder what trucks is that on iRacing.
I
Have you
think
looked
it's
yet?
like Auto Club or something.
Oh God, if it's an Auto Club, I'm gonna log off right now and go do that because I love Auto Club and
Oh
trucks.
yeah, that's
So,
a good one.
shame we don't race there anymore. But yeah, other than that, y'all have a good week. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, share. We're on X, YouTube, Spotify. Please subscribe and like. Did you like this? Have you subscribed yet, Big Dog?
Oh yeah. Oh
All
yeah.
right, just making sure. Other than that, thank y'all. Have a great night. We will catch you on the next one. Hammer down. Thank y'all for listening to the Caution Flag Contemplations podcast. Our theme music is Hard as Steel by Alex Productions. Thank you all for listening. Hammering down. Find a good race to watch. We'll see you next time.